Okay, now we coming off the episode where they had just took the chubby guy said. Now, after they took this chubby guy said couldn't process all this in his head, so said ended up trying to commit suicide that night. And the guards came in, and you know what happens. They strip you down, buck naked. They put you on suicide watch in a one-man cell, and they monitor you every hour up on the hour. So, but what we gonna do, we gonna fast forward until we get the Newjacks. Okay, we get the Newjacks in, and along with the Newjacks comes the fishing expedition. Hot mama, big booty ass boy, that's bait right there. Yeah, but on this particular bus of Newjacks, it got 4 kind of big youngsters. Now, these 4 youngsters had long prison sentences, and they aged out a juvenile boot camp. So they had to come to the prison. Now, on the bus, it also had a black and Mexican mixed kind of guy named Julio. Julio was tall, yellow, curly hair and green looking eyes, So I immediately knew Julio was prey. So they come on into the dorm, and there go the booty holics, looking them up and down, trying to fill them out, So the Newjacks go in and start putting their stuff in their lockers. They at their assigned racks, and immediately Julio starts moving about the dorm, asking everybody who got that killer. Now in the South, killer means who got that marijuana. So I'm just watching him, and I'm shaking my head like, man, Julio, he don't know what he doing. But man overhears him asking everybody about Killer and sent Tay-Tay at him. Me seeing this, I immediately say, yo, Julio, holler at me for a minute. Now, he must have thought I hadn't found the killer, because he comes jogging back to me, and I just start running to him. Say, bro, you just got up in here. Pump your brakes, man. Them dudes over there, man, they ain't nothing but booty bandits, bro. Them dudes, they'll try to run up in you, man. And, but the way I do it, I have to do it in a subtle kind of way, because people start to thinking you got a hidden agenda too. So you don't want to come off aggressive like, you just trying to cuff him soon as he get up in there. Trying to give him his space, but still trying to protect him at the same time, kind of give him an opportunity to slow down and see what you're doing. But he a young kind of guy, and with them kind of guys, they feel like they can handle themselves, because that's basically what he tell me, man, I got this. I got this, man. I can handle me, So, all right, from that moment on, I let him do what he gonna do, you know what I'm saying? So I see him go run back over there where Tay-Tay was, chop it up with Tay-Tay for a little minute or so, and then they just disappear. So I go back to doing what I'm doing. I was drawing at the time. So, I ain't even think about it, So I see them reappear, laughing and talking. They look high, whatever. And now in my mind, I'm like, oh, I must have misjudged old Julio, because you can openly see that Tay-Tay is gay. So you feel comfortable enough in that position to where, you laughing and talking and walking through the whole dorm, which we call it parading through the whole dorm with an openly gay guy. So over the next couple of days, Julio and Tay-Tay get real close. All right, now I'm going to move away from that and move to the 4 youngsters that came in, which I later found out their name was Roderick, Derek, Cody, and Mark. So one day I'm sitting there drawing, and they come up to my rack and find out, just get to running into me, and I find out Cody he a badass sketcher. He got some badass work, So we end up, comparing notes and, just running it. So we all end up getting kind of close and start talking, and I get them the whole rundown of the whole complete prison, the stuff that's been happening and who is who and the what is what. Now, at this time, nothing has happened since they've been here. Okay, fast forward a couple days, Julio and Tay-Tay get into this big ass argument, and how I heard it, Julio been smoking with Tay-Tay all this time, and Tay-Tay went to kiss Julio, and Julio got offended. So now I'm seeing the argument, and they just going off on each other. And Julio, man, I don't play that motherfucking shit. Don't come at me like that. I don't play that shit. Now, Buttman in Port Allen overhears this shit and runs over there. What's going on? And Tay saying, oh, he been smoking all this time and he ain't paid for nothing. He ain't paid for nothing. And Julio like, man, you ain't tell me I had to pay for something. And Port Allen said, let me stop you right there. Man, ain't nothing in prison for free, and I know you know that. So, and he said, how much he smoked, Tay? And Tay like, oh, he just smoked about $80 worth of Julio. Man, I ain't smoked no motherfucking $80 worth of nothing. And then here go Buttman. If he say you smoke $80 worth, you smoke $80 worth. So Buttman like, hey, what we gonna do to rectify the situation? How we gonna come up with this little issue? You know, settle this little issue out. And Julio like, man, look, all I need is a couple days to come up with the money, man. And Buttman said, okay, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give you 3 days to come up with the money. You know, after them 3 days, I don't want no more excuses. You know what I'm saying? I'm giving you 3 days. Julio like, man, that's all I need, man. I'm gonna call my people, man. I'm straight on the outside. I was this and this and this and this and this. He just saying a whole bunch of yada, 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 but he ain't understanding prison rules. So now at this time, I see Roderick and Derek at they racks. So I go over there and run into him and tell him, man, hey, bro, if he don't come up with this money, man, y'all about to see for the first time what these dudes do. And they play these games all the time. Set niggas up and then try to run up in them. I say, man, your boy Julio is beyond saving. You know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing we could do to help him out. Now, them 3 days go by and Buttman walks up to Julio along with Port Allen. They got Terrell over here and they talking to him. They like, hey, bro, you got the money, man? He was like, yeah, look, check this out. Man, my people say they gonna put it on Friday. Now, Friday, 2 days away. And with no talking or nothing, all of them turned around and walked away. And Terrell just looked at him and shook his head. And then it's like Julio, he thinking he got an extension. You know, he go back to running into the dude he was at the rack with, running it. Now, to my friends who I have to explain a little bit more to, okay, listen, inside of prison, you have nothing but time on your hands. So everybody just talks and talks and talks. So the part of this story that I didn't witness, you hear throughout the prison. So therefore you get the full view of everything. And then the parts that you catch, they adds up. And then you understand and you could get a full picture of actually everything that happened. See, a lot of these things that people outside the world think that's disgusting, a lot of us inside the world been desensitized. Just because you witnessed an act don't mean you participated in that act. And it tells by the way you come out and the way people handle you when you go back in. So that's just for my friends who really can't understand how I can paint a full picture of every incident. Sometimes you don't have to witness everything with your eyes. Sometimes you can hear it. Sometimes people fill in the parts that they done seen. The same way, just as if the guards in there come in and gather everybody up and want to get down to the bottom of the truth. They hear the stories of this part and they fill in what they know for sure. Now, back to the story. Now, at this time, me, Roderick, Derek, Cody, and Mark, we together, we all discussing, you know what I'm saying? We know something about to go down tonight, and Julio just ain't bit more aware than the man on the moon was about to happen to him. But we already coming up with protection for ourselves, you know, how we can stick together and how we can avoid becoming one of these dudes. Now, all us nice-sized dudes, you know what I'm saying? And now we not just single, we together. It ain't divide and conquer. We together, we a whole now. So we stronger, but we still want to build a bigger power base. Now, Nathan fell in, and me and Cody still sitting at the rack drawing, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, time just falling away, and we see 10 to 15 guys walking towards Julio rack. Me, I'm already knowing the brutality that's about to happen. But this gonna be Cody first time witnessing this. So with lightning quick speed, they all charge Julio rack, and Buttman grabs him by the neck and punches him. And Julio wakes up startled and say, "No, this ain't happening to me. This ain't happening. This ain't happening. I know this ain't happening." And they all begin to turn Julio over, flipping Julio over. Still Buttman still punching him. He hitting him in the ribs at this time. Boom, boom, and Julio making noises like a woman. And they all just swarm him. Grabbing him, they got his legs pinned down, they got his arms pinned down, and Buttman still got his head pinned to the bed, and they all, and the other ones begin to tie him up, and Buttman begins to grab the toothpaste and the gel and puts it on himself. And they get to ripping down Julio's pants. Now, Cody looking at me like, man, this can't be happening. And I'm looking at him like, yeah, this is what they do. And if you one man, there's no way you can outpower 10 to 15 guys. So all this time I've been in this prison, I have never felt like any of these guys in here had the heart enough to band together with me and we can do something. We can build some kind of structure and law that will put an end to these guys that's doing this with these guys until now. So they just grab Julio and they got him, and Buttman and got his clothes down, getting on top of him, and Julio steady screaming and hollering and hollering and hollering and oh! The same routine. Brute jabbing him. And Buttman, and Julio, same situations. And in this instance, Buttman, he gets his due, and he turns around and he tells Terrell, "Now I want you to get some of this." And you know, they not too long ago turned Terrell out, so Terrell want to have some dignity as a man. So with no hesitation, he does the same thing. He puts on the toothpaste in the gel, and he gets into Julio. The same exact way. And after him, they all follow suit one after another. And they does this to Julio while he's crying out for anybody to help. And this night was the night that the Newjack crew was formed. And it wasn't formed just from a bunch of Newjacks. That ain't what it means, a bunch of Newjacks forming this. This was formed because we wanted to protect all the Newjacks that come into the prison, because that was most of the guys that they was doing this to, all the newbies, the Newjacks. But it had a criteria. And what it was if you did not participate in any of this sexuality kind of behavior, if you didn't participate with drugs, if you didn't go and critic and do anything to put yourself in this position and they just preyed on you, that we formed a crew and recruited guys so we can have a righteous law to stop. Okay, back to Julio. So they end up doing this to Julio all night until Julio was such a small guy till Julio started hemorrhaging. And when Julio started hemorrhaging, they had no choice. Well, everybody in the prison had no choice but to get the COs in here, because Julio was hemorrhaging, he wouldn't stop bleeding. So the COs came in and got Julio and took Julio out. So Julio ended up telling on a couple guys who did this to him. Not all, but a couple guys. So a couple hours go by and the COs come back in and they take Buttman out, they take Tay-Tay out, they take Ralph out, and they take Terrell out. So now they basically leaving Port Allen in there and a few of they boys, they bitches in there. And by this time, they had then turned out a big group of boys. So, they still kind of deep, but Port Allen is, the only one with significant size, so he's still over the whole clan. Okay, so, they pick back up business as clockwork. Remember how I told you the prison is just straight ignorance and they heartless, so they went back to business as usual. They went back to hustling and slanging and doing their business, and it's like this never happened to this young guy. Y'all never turned Julio out. Till y'all almost cost this man his life. So now it's me, Cody, Mark, Roderick, and Derek. And we forming this thing. We like, hey, man, we got to walk around this prison and we got to see who got hard up in here. So we walking to different guys, talking to different guys, and everybody, man, hey, man, I don't want no part of it, man. I don't want to be bothered. And every so often, we'll get a guy, man, I'm sick of this shit too, man. Hey, bro, I can't take no more, bro. And it's most of the guys that's been in here during the duration that I've been in here. That's like, yeah, bro, it's time, bro. We got to do something. We got to form a law that if these guys innocent, hey, bro, y'all just can't do what y'all do. And that we did until we end up recruiting us. It was already us 5, which me and Derek, Roderick, Cody, and Mark. It's us 5 already, and we end up recruiting 10 other guys, so that made us 15 deep. Now we work out together and we discuss Newjack, the Newjack business every day. What's the laws, what they can't do, and what we ain't gonna get involved with. And the only thing we ain't gonna get involved with, if we try to tell you what not to get involved with these guys, that means prison politics is a strange thing. Don't do no business with these guys. Don't even actually try to befriend these guys. Stay and do your time and try to better yourself while you in this institution. And if you do that, we will not let these guys prey up on you. Okay, so a couple weeks go by and Port Allen still got his boys up and down, peddling and slanging these drugs, and they back comfortable, they done got back set in their ways. So, it's this one Newjack named Dion that Port Allen been had his eyes on. Dion was another kind of chunky dude, He wasn't as big as Said, but he's another kind of chunky dude. So I'm watching Port Allen go to this little Newjack Dion and talk to him and, just throw little stuff on his rack, you know what I'm saying? And I'm watching Dion just slaughter these snacks that Port Allen give him. Now, he ain't been in here to see Said even get turned out. So he's not knowing anything. So immediately we goes to Dion and we tell Dion, listen, hey, what he just did was bait play. That's what that game called, bait play. He baiting you in, he giving you snacks, and he gonna let you eat all his snacks, then he gonna expect something back in return. So what we gonna do is, we gonna give you back what he gave you. And you go take it back to him and throw it on his rack and tell him you don't want it. And when he try to come at you for it, then we got your back. But if you get yourself back involved with this situation, we're going to have a problem. You know what I'm saying? We're going to leave you out there on your own. We're going to leave you out there to fend for yourself. So this is our attempt to make this dude Dion understand the way prison games and prison politics work. So we give Dion all the snacks that Port Allen gave him, and he takes it back and he throw it on Port Allen rack. And Port Allen look at him like, man, I don't want that shit, man. I gave that shit to you, man. That's a done deal. You know, basically telling him, shit, man, you already accepted that. You know, and I watched you ate my shit, but somebody else gave it to you. But we expected that. We expected that, and I actually knew that play was going to happen. So I really wanted to test the heart of everybody that we recruited. So we waiting until the moment that Port Allen make his way. He about to make his way. So Dion walks on back down to his rack. He go back. We all just paying attention. We on all different sides, but we all synchronized. We all together because we done discussed all this. We actually done worked out and trained for this. And believe me, Port Allen know how deep we is, but he don't know what we'd informed. None of them do. And y'all got to keep in mind, even though it's Port Allen and a bunch of boys, which is bitches, at the end of the day, they still men. They still have manly strength. And I heard some of them actually got supernatural strength. That's how, you know, it might be a figment of my imagination and just people talking, but, you know, they say they actually stronger than the average man, you know, and I'm not saying I got nothing against any of them. I just stay my distance and in my lane, you know, but we all just fed up. We're watching these guys just run them up, just doing what they want to do, just torturing and turning out these little guys at will. And for the first time now, I got other guys who got heart like me. I couldn't do anything when I was by myself. But I now feel like we are forced to be reckoned with. And we ain't no bunch of little bitty guys. At the time, I'm about 185 pounds, you know what I'm saying? Just muscle, you know what I'm saying? And Roderick and Derek the same. Then it's Cody, then it's Mark. So we waiting on Port Allen to make his play. So sure as shit stink, here comes Port Allen down here with a few of his boys. And they goes over there to Dion rack, and they look at Dion, and they tell Dion, so what you saying, you don't want to be down with us? You don't want to mess with us? What you refusing what we give you? That's just to see how Dion responds. And they get the response that they looking for because he's timid. Man, I ain't mean nothing by it, man. I just, I don't want no trouble with nobody, bro. I just, I didn't know that came with stipulations. You know what I'm saying? Because he's green. He don't know no better at this time. Now, Port Allen and his boys, they all just walk off from Dion. But in our mind, we knowing Dion in some trouble. So we all know we all got to stay up tonight. And I'll be lying to you if I tell you I wasn't nervous and jittery and, and kind of scared. But I still got heart, and I know that I'm going to be right there when it all boils down, because we got to take a stand up in here of them violating guys who ain't did them nothing. And like I said, as long as you meet the criteria, we will defend you, the Newjack boys. That Newjack crew was formed in 1999. And at this time, I got a year left on my sentence. Man, so nightfall. And all you see is Port Allen and 7 of his boys walking towards Dion rack. As soon as they get, I can say about 10 feet to Dion rack, we all jump up out the rack. And me, Roderick, and Cody was the first ones to make it to him. And the rest of them is following suit. So as soon as we get there, I stick Port Allen. Bow! I hit him. And as soon as I hit him, they go Cody. Cody hit him. Bow! And then before you know it, you see this little skinny ass with these long ass arms just pop Cody and back his head. Bam, Cody stumble. And before you know it, we all on him. We in the mix. We all fighting and fighting. Now, don't get me wrong to come tell no heroic story like we just slaughtered them. No, they was fighting. It was a war. It was a war up in there. And we fought and fought. I swear it felt like we was fighting for about 2 hours. But it probably wasn't nothing but 45 minutes. So finally, the fighting just stopped and they went back to their rack. But you got to remember now, the whole prison is watching this. So that next morning, we got all kind of people coming up to us trying to join the Newjack crew. And that's what we wanted. Now, check this out. Now, unbeknownst to us, that next morning, well, we didn't realize that night they only had one guard on shift. And he was too scared to come back there by himself, but he hadn't heard all the commotion going on there. So that next morning, when they was in full force, they all came up in there and stormed in and put us all face down in front of our racks, trying to gather up everybody and get information what happened that night. So now, as you know, in prison, without no informants and nobody telling them nothing, there's nothing they can do. Which brings me back to in the 90s, how they cut corners to save money in the prisons. Now, there's no way with a dorm this size should they ever be one guard on shift, one CO on shift. But this is the practice of the prison in the 90s. Okay, now we know that this fight didn't happen between the Newjack crew and the Booty Holic crew. You know, we know this ain't the last of this. So they just waiting till they back in full force. So all this time is nothing but tension. You can see them. They egos is, they can't believe this didn't happen and they can't lose control like this. They burning. But like I said, when we come back, I'm going to fast forward this thing until when everybody starts to get released